Welcome to GearCheckGames. This is part 4 of our commentary for Banjo-Kazooie. Last time we completed Treasure Trove Cove, and today we're going to tackle Clanker's Cavern, the third world of the game.
Alright. Oh,
and
nice.
Historically,
Sploosh.
in conversations, I have stuck up for this level. I have always had sort of a, let's say, a morbid fondness for Clanker's Cavern, but as with many things, the recording curse struck me.
Oh.
So there's gonna be some shenanigans in this episode. Just flagging that up right at the beginning.
This level roughen your gold feathers.
So those slime monsters are frightening.
They are, but they're incredibly easy to deal with.
So weirdly enough, when I was younger, Banjo-Kazooie and Tooie were, like, those games that I just kind of, memorized everything about. But for whatever reason, Clanker's Cavern just happened to be, the one I would always just kind of forget about when I was, going down the list in my head of all the levels in the game or whatever.
Really?
Yeah, which is admittedly odd because, I feel like this level does have a pretty, unique, a theme to it that you don't really see in most other games. As opposed to, snow level, easy green plains level.
Well, yeah, and most of the people when I talk to people about Banjo-Kazooie who haven't, played it in years, a lot of times the one thing they remember is, or one of the first things that comes to mind is Clanker's Cavern, precisely because of the character we have just encountered. That is Clanker. He is a weird cyborg garbage-grinding whale, I think? Created by Gruntilda to, eat her garbage.
I always thought he was just a shark with a blowhole.
Well, yeah, he looks more like a shark, but I think I've read in official materials that he's supposed to be a whale.
God, this music, though.
So I guess maybe...
Very anxiety-inducing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. If you're playing the N64 version, this is the first thing you want to do. Collect the notes down here, because it is very easy to die here because of the swimming controls in Banjo-Kazooie. Not the game's strong suit, in my opinion.
That was kind of the problem with rare platformers in general. It feels like they really didn't get case in point right here. They had a little trouble with swimming controls.
Well, normally the hitboxes on the notes, being as small as they are, aren't a huge issue because the control is tight enough to where, you can easily get them. But the problem is you basically have two swimming speeds. Just going by the N64 controls, you push A to swim forward slowly, and B to swim forward, quickly. But if you rely on B, a lot of times you don't have a whole lot of control over your left and right trajectory after you, shoot forward. So what you end up having to do in this first game is, swim forward with B, but then kind of, brake with the A button. It's just really weird and kind of hard to get a feel for. They really dramatically improved the swimming controls in the second game.
So is the mechanic here you have to swim through that ring to unlock Clanker?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to swim through this big keyhole 3 times. From any direction.
Yeah. Well, what I assume you're supposed to do is follow the fish around the circle to do 3 laps through the keyhole. But you can also just do what Joe's doing and just kind of turn around and go back through.
Okay.
Although I wouldn't recommend doing what Joe's doing because I forgot something very critical here when I decided to go through. The NPCs and enemies and environmental assets keep moving during cutscenes.
Oh, no.
So Gloop and that bubble, the friendly fish who's keeping us alive down here at the bottom of Clanker's Cavern,
Bye, Gloop.
are now out of reach, and I have 1 point of air left. Well, I did.
Rip.
First blood.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You've now been, it's now been established what the scariest part of this entire game is. Just being stuck underwater.
Teleport, Banjo!
Yeah, in like every level, the worst part is when you have to go underwater and like get something, especially if it's musical notes.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you, it gets exponentially worse the further you get into the game, especially once you get to like the last 2 levels. They find some really devilish ways to make the underwater sections just like
Oh yeah.
so stressful.
They knew exactly what they were doing.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, if you die and you don't collect Clanker's Jiggy, you have to free him again from this big anvil. So that's the dilemma we're in right now, but thankfully we got plenty of air this time.
I just noticed the reflection on the bubbles when you swim close to them. That's pretty impressive for N64.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Like that again, that's a detail that, you know, a lesser developer would just be like, well, nobody's gonna care if their face is in the bubble. But like, Rare went that extra mile, and I think that's kind of what sets their games apart from the others, is just like the level of detail and care that goes into them.
So I like that they kept that mechanic from well, I guess didn't keep it, but copied that mechanic from Mario 64. When you resurface, you get all your HP back.
Well, you get all of your air back. It doesn't. It's not like in Mario 64 where you can enter the water with half health and then just like surface to refill your entire health bar.
Yeah. Unlike Mario 64, this game has separate air and health meters.
God, look at this. See, even something as simple as just swimming in a straight line is like a chore with these controls.
So I guess
getting ballsy.
Yeah, we're going for a bold move here. There's a Jiggy at the end of this passage, but I seem to have forgotten how long it in reality is.
Oh no.
But we're gonna try for it. We're gonna swim as fast as our little legs will carry us.
Oh god, Joe, why?
No!
Because Sonic Colors is awesome. So there's 2 deaths for this level so far,
like
and notice I still have not collected the Jiggy on top of Clanker.
Oh my god.
How many
So we gotta do it again!
I like how the drowning theme in Sonic Colors just happens to sound like the Sonic drowning theme, but like if it were in Nuts and Bolts.
Yeah, it's a lucky coincidence.
How many times do I gotta drown you, bear?
Yeah, normally Grunty will comment on the first death of your playthrough, but I guess she doesn't do it if it's an underwater death.
Well, yeah, she makes fun of you every time you die.
Although it would be funny if she, like, tried to make fun of you, but it came out like...
Maybe she did make fun of you over the castle intercom, but you just didn't hear it because you were deep underwater.
Yeah, I heard a very muffled, like...
So that makes me wonder if they were to do a modern day Banjo game, do you think they would benefit from having actual voices, or just keep the silly voices?
No, I think the silly voices have kind of become integral to like the identity of this series, and like and what's weird is I always hear. It always seems like there's 1 or 2 people whenever Banjo comes up complaining about like, oh, the voices are annoying. Or like when Ukulele came out, they had to patch in an option to like mute the character voices because apparently people think it's annoying, and I'm just like, what? Why are you even playing Banjo then? What's annoying about it?
So I noticed that in this version of the game, they're called snippet mutants.
Oh, are they?
I don't believe that was the case in the original version of the game. I believe it was a more
Oh, okay.
a more Rare-esque name.
I understand your meaning.
Yeah, I know what the name is, but I'm afraid if they deemed it like, you know, offensive enough to change it in the remake, then maybe I shouldn't say it on the show.
Well, unfortunately, there's another one in Freezeezy Peak that they did not change.
It can't be as offensive as a trouser snake, though, can it?
No, that's A-okay, Trey.
Oh.
I don't get what's offensive about it. It's a trouser. It's a snake wearing
He's
trousers.
just a snake wearing pants.
Yeah.
God.
I guess
I mean,
that does...
we have a bear wearing shorts. What's the big deal?
That's true.
I see no issue with this.
I in both cases, it proves the question of if this animal wore this piece of clothing, would they wear it like this?
Nailed
I
it.
don't know what it is, but it always seems like Rare Games have like an affinity for these kind of grungy industrial levels.
I thought you were gonna say it seems Rare Games always have an affinity for putting animals in clothes.
Well, that too. But because this isn't even the only level that kind of looks like this in Banjo-Kazooie. There's a later one that's also like kind of dark and industrial like this.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy that about these games. It kind of, I feel like it's good to have a level like that in your kind of cartoony platformer to, I guess, to kind of round out the tone in a way.
Yeah.
Well, pardon the comparison, but I always kind of felt that Banjo-Kazooie was like the Shrek of mascot platformers.
The Shrek?
Yeah. Well, where it's like most of them are pretty like straightforward and cartoony or whatever, like, you know, Disney movies and stuff, but Banjo's like it makes a name for itself by specifically being like grungy and kind of off-putting and like a bit gross.
It's got sort of an edge to it, as kind of weird as that is to say, but not in sort of like an embarrassing way, as
like it's just got like off-color humor and like kind of dirty-looking environments.
Well, case in point, like I'm not sure how Clanker got past the ESRB. Because there's just like blood and guts everywhere. Like not even just on the inside. He's like cut open. If you look at his armor plating, it's no wonder this thing traumatized so many kids. Jeez.
Oh, he's giving you the invulnerability.
Yeah, the Wonder Wing. Again, I often forget that I even have this. There are like specific collectibles in this game that you're supposed to use the Wonder Wing to get, but you could just as easily just take the hit and
just like super monkey ball through them.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the gold star in Mario, where it just makes you invulnerable for a short amount of time.
A little bit, but in this case, you have control over exactly when you can use it, which is probably a good thing for a non-linear 3D platformer, as opposed to a linear game like Mario, where they can put it in the level as like a secret that you find.
Yeah.
Whereas here, it's more about just like collect feathers so you have invincibility when you need it.
Yeah. I also like that running into the like fan blades during Wonder Wing actually breaks them off.
Yeah, you kind of have. Does that actually make your feathers tick down faster, or is that just?
I don't think so.
Graphical?
I think it's just like a cool thing, and in situations where there are fewer blades, making it a bit easier to go through without the Wonder Wing if you run out, like on the return trip.
Right.
Since Clanker is like a cyborg, I like to think that he's not like all the blood and guts really isn't his. It's just like of all the things that he's had to grind up for Gruntilda over the years.
Yeah.
So he has
we've been talking about like the NPCs in these worlds being like created by Gruntilda just to live out a miserable existence, and I feel like Clanker is kind of like the textbook example of that. Like, does Gruntilda really produce enough garbage to warrant a giant whale that eats it all?
Probably. It's Gruntilda after all.
Okay, some of that trivia can be pretty unsettling.
What's her sister's name? The fairy lady?
Brentilda.
How did she even learn all of that? Like,
growing up with her, I guess. Also, Brentilda is not Gruntilda's only sister. If you've played Banjo-Tooie, there are two others named Mingella and Blabelda.
I do not like those names.
Yeah. Well, again, that's Banjo for you.
I guess Brentilda just turned out to be like the preppy goody two-shoes one.
Oh yeah, this is Ginger. I always forget about this one.
He's kind of
Yeah, I don't know if
fell
you
in a
can
hole.
tell by the way I fell in here, but I did not mean to go inside Clanker this early. Normally my method of attack with this level is I start kind of from the bottom and work myself to the top, just going around like clockwise on, underwater, then like at ground level, and then like around the upper like scaffolding.
Yeah.
And then I go inside Clanker.
Is it weird
last.
that I noticed something was off when you went in Clanker as early as you did, just because of how many times I've seen you play this game?
No, that is totally on me for just being. It works for me, all right.
It makes sense because you can do like almost everything outside of Clanker first, and like do all the nitty gritty stuff.
Well, there's actually one thing that you're supposed to get inside Clanker that you actually can't get unless you do something on the outside, which I haven't done yet.
Oh yeah.
So I'm not going to be able to show that until the next episode. In fact, I don't even know why I'm going down here. There's nothing really to find.
Clanker is so big
Oh, okay, there's musical notes.
that he has to take 2 episodes to complete. There's just not enough love in the world to put Clanker in 1 episode.
Yeah, I probably, if I had played this level a little better, I probably could have gotten it done in 1, but you know what? Sometimes life just isn't fair.
Yeah.
God,
Just ask Clanker. He ought to know.
this really is like one of the grossest, like inside a creature levels of all time.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you see, Kingdom Hearts, this is what the inside of a whale looks like.
Well,
This isn't
cyborg
even a
whale.
real whale, and it looks better than the game that came out like 5 years later.
I forgot that that we did Monstro recently in Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, it's like poetry, it rhymes. Although, given the tone of Kingdom Hearts,
what?
I don't know if I would have wanted Monstro to look like this.
True. Yeah, can you not go up through that?
No, it's one way only.
Huh.
I wanted to
you
go
could.
back and see if I missed anything, and thankfully I didn't. But yeah, that is weird that that's one way only.
Well, I guess that leads out to the blowhole, right?
Well, no, I don't think. I think it leads to the chamber that you land in if you go in through his blowhole. So yeah, that was Clanker's Cavern Part 1, but the fun doesn't stop here.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Yeah, tune in for the next for the completion of Clanker's Cavern and a preview of the next level we'll be visiting.
I'm so excited.